I'm starting to look at Keefe and say, it doesn't look like you're changing the right things. It doesn't look like you're seeing the same things as everybody else. To continually have these type of performances where you're close but no cigar, you start off with the lead and you have control of the game and you absolutely just give it away. I mean, 5 unanswered goals, 4 unanswered goals. Like, what is that, man? It's a systematic thing, it's a mindset thing. And to me, that is on the coach to make sure every day that those guys aren't slipping up, that they understand what the process is, what the goal is, what they have to do to accomplish it.
I think he went on an 8-game winning streak when he took over for Babcock, and he's never looked back. So, I mean, this is the first sense of a little bit of adversity, and probably a little more nerve-wracking than he would be normally. So, I mean, it's undoubtedly gets a little more excited, a little quicker these days, and I know the Toronto media very well. They want to take advantage of every little negativity that they can see. So he's just got to stay the course, to me, do what he does, know what works, and block out the white noise.
You can't call yourself a Stanley Cup caliber winning team. Right now, you're not even a higher seed in your division caliber team. You're flirting with a non-playoff team caliber at certain times, and it's just like the same warts are just there, and sometimes they're so bad that it's just like groan worthy. And if you're just a bad team and you're rebuilding, then it's understandable. There's no reason you'd be a dummy to get all worked up every time you have this. But this is supposed to be their peak, and this is supposed to be the precipice of what they've built and worked towards for so long.
The NHL's tough. I don't think their defense is extremely great right now, and I mean it's aging. It's other than Morgan Riley on the back end. I mean, all the other guys are susceptible, I think. Their goaltending is questionable.
Core four, they're making a lot of money, and they're elite. Like, all those guys can put the puck in the net, but let's be honest, to win in the National Hockey League, you need 4 lines rolling. You need to ride some D. You need a horse back there that's defensively sound, that can shut down the other team's best.
From what the expectations were and to what they've done, I'd give them a C. We expect maybe overly too much when you're a Torontonian and a Toronto fan. You expect too much from them right now, but I just think that they're above ground, and they've got a really tough schedule. I mean, I think they've got the toughest schedule remaining in the NHL. So, I mean, what was used to be, okay, let's go out there and play. We win. We know we're going to be in the playoffs. That's all that matters. Now, the question is, I mean, they lose tonight and a couple teams win. I mean, now all of a sudden it's going into the All-Star break.
I'd give them a C plus. They've shown flashes of being very solid, and you got to remember that they've gone through this goaltender problem, and I don't think people appreciate how big a trouble we'd be in if Marty Jones didn't come in and do what he's done. Overall, I think that C plus is where they're at, middle of the pack kind of thing in the league. And is that what we expect? Is that the expectations? No. Are we being hard on them for being a C plus? Yes, and rightfully so.
I'm going to go with C just because the expectations were sky high, and the fact that they're nowhere around some of the better teams in this league is scary to me, considering some of those teams don't have the star power the Maple Leafs have. Do I feel at all like this team is any different than the team that went out against the Florida Panthers? No, I don't. They still lose those shit games. They lose to the terrible teams. They play when they want. Like, the mentality hasn't flipped. It hasn't changed. It's the same team.
Am I supposed to continue to holding on hope that these guys are going to beat all the premier teams in the NHL in a 7-game series? Because they're not even fucking close in my mind right now. And this weekend just put the stamp on that. And it sucks to say. I want to stay positive and I want to believe and I want to say, no, they got to just tweak a few things. But it's just like glaringly obvious some of the massive holes they have in this. And it's not something that just like fire Keefe and your problems are fixed. It's like, the whole core and like the identity of this team doesn't have it. It's not right. They're not playing with any heart. They're not playing together. They don't seem to understand the concept of what needs to take place at certain points in time. And fuck me, it's like it's just so it just sucks. Yuck, man. Like they're terrible. Like what are you talking about? Blue and yellow, and like the NHL logo just blends in. It's not even sharp. It looks like a practice jersey. There's no stripes on the bottom or the sleeves or anything. Bad colors. Like I don't want to be negative. Like if I see a good jersey, I'll like it. I like lots of jerseys. That's just fucking gross, man. Like there's nothing about it that I even like at all. A big star in the background that the NHL logo just blends into, and then a bunch of little stars around it that are the same. Like no sharpness, no depth to them. Colors are bad. Like what? Like 0 for 1 so far on the All-Star game.
I understand it's the Leafs. I understand they blow leads, but like Tyler Bertuzzi, like that post in the first 3 minutes where they were buzzing and that was an exceptional pass. And it's like, fuck, man, just bury that. Like, just bury one of those. Like, it seems like Bertuzzi's been fighting it all season long for some reason. Like, you watch the way he played with Boston last year and you get excited. You're like, holy shit, this guy's going to be a difference maker. Comes to the Leafs and every player comes to this team and they just don't perform as we expect. Naturally, again, halfway through this year, but like there's been so many instances like that where it's like a tap in for Bertuzzi. He can't get the job done.
I had motivation to like shove it up their ass and show how good I am and show that I'm worth what I'm asking for. Then you get it. Okay, now you got to keep that hammer down. What's your motivation now? What else is driving you? And it doesn't appear like he's done that recent. I mean, it's way too convenient of timing to sign that contract and then become, a ghost. He seems a little bit more lackadaisical. I mean, he's spinning around and doing the most obvious plays in the world and missing the net by a foot. And it's kind of like, he just kind of seems like that Willie kind of, that little swaggery, no big deal. He's kind of got that going again, where before he was snarling a bit more, saying like, look the fuck out, I'm coming and I'm going to prove my worth. And now that he's proved it, I know that's our biggest fear with that contract, is that he goes, into more of a lackadaisical effort and just kind of rests on his laurels. Aside from McCabe, when's the last time someone got rocked or they ran a D-man through the boards and the crowd was up on their feet? They just don't bother. They want to play street hockey. And then to boot, when it gets hard on them, when they're getting hit hard, when they're getting the pressure taken to them, they just fold and they just call her quits, or they just hope that, well, hopefully I can find an open spot and go through my legs and go backhand shelf and everything will be better. Well, that just doesn't happen all the time. And you have to have more of a well-rounded game, like to get into a gritty playoff series where you have to dig fucking deep and you got to get that go-ahead goal and you got to find a way to just keep coming, wear them down, crash and bang. And we have zero of that, man.
I think they're playing as hard as they can. I just don't think they're as good as people in Toronto and Toronto Maple Leaf fans think they are.
Were you surprised how viral your clip about Quinn Hughes went, about somebody in the Canucks organization vouching for Hughes to play center? Did you see how crazy it went on social media?
I sort of did. I mean, I heard all about it. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't get away from it. And the whole point was, I was trying to say how Quinn Hughes is a good bet to win the Norris this year and how good he was. So when I got the suggestion, I could see the quality in Quinn, and I just said no.
Just got a phone call and be like, you got traded to Calgary, and you're not alone. We can't tell you who. And 5 hours later, you're on an airplane to a new city, which I still call home now. We love it here in Calgary, and it changes your life. But it came out of nowhere, to tell you the truth. I was becoming a UFA at the end of that year, so I knew maybe at the deadline I'd get moved if they didn't want to keep me. And I kind of knew like Tyler Bozak was coming on the scene, Grabowski was there. So I was having a really good season. So I was like, the way things are going, they're going to offload probably any assets they have. They did to Nick Antropov the year before too, and traded him. So I was like, probably get traded, but I didn't expect it, a month before the deadline. So it was a shock. And I think anybody who's been traded midseason would say the same thing. It's a life-changing experience.
They always lay down and die. And all those points that these big boys get are like the third and fourth and fifth points in a 5-2 win against San Jose or something. And it's like, Yay, but I'm not going to fucking like start sounding the trumpet that we're the greatest when we don't do it when it matters. We don't do it when it counts, and we never do it when it's hard.